Carl and Damon here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial for short, and it's They Made What into a TV series. Devil May Cry, halfway point. It's always funny to say that when you're at episode 4, but yeah, 8 episodes long. We're at the halfway point of the show now. All Hope Abandoned, directed by Han Sung-woo. Yeah, after episode 3 really kick-started things, this is where I think the show becomes brilliant.
Yeah, this episode took me by surprise.
It is a great show. We're thoroughly enjoying it. So we're going to talk you through this episode as we normally would do. And we begin with Darkcom surveying the chaos of the highway battle. As Mary declares it's time to go after the White Rabbit who she is tracking. She put a tracker on the amulet. So yeah, easy to basically able to follow him.
Yep.
But also at the same time, she and the rest of the elite team are unaware that they have been infiltrated by plasma. Although we do get a fun scene where the demon kind of reveals itself to Anders, kind of like, because Anders is stuck, right? He's like, he can't reveal plasma because that risks revealing his role in things. And regardless of like, hey, I did it because the White Rabbit threatened my family, I don't think Darkcom are going to understand.
No, he's getting killed.
If not killed, he's going to prison.
Yeah, jail, yeah. Treason or whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever they do, yes. Meanwhile, Dante ends up a captive on Baines' hijacked plane. As we see, the White Rabbit basically took, and Demons took Air Force 2, is it called? I think it's called Air Force 2, the Vice President's plane.
Yeah.
Alongside Baines and his aides. They just kind of rushed through that. I feel like that we should have had a scene showing the White Rabbit get the plane, because we just, like, cut, and they're all just there tied up, and I was like, oh, okay, all right then.
Yeah.
While unconscious, Dante remembers the time his mother gave him and his twin brother Virgil their amulets and how their power began to manifest at an early stage. So now we kind of get a bit more of the Dante's backstory, particularly as a kid. Him and Virgil were brothers, twin brothers, who obviously competed a lot, and that resulted in trouble. Now that happens in most families with young boys, but when they have powers. It's a bit of a messier situation.
I think it also explained the things because I might have missed it, but obviously it might also explain how the White Rabbit got the first part of the amulet. Obviously, I'm presuming he killed his brother. That's what I presume.
You're presuming that?
Well, I did at the time.
Of course. That's stuff for later on. Of course, yeah, because naturally you're like, okay, yeah, you've got to kind of work these things out. But we do also see that the kids never met their father. Instead, they used to ask their mother about stories, and she'd kind of tell them, look, he'll be here soon, or he's busy doing that, and she'd tell them stories. Look, Dante may be denying it, but the show is not pretending. He is the son of Sparta. And look, you know what? You can work it all out. If you know the games, you already know this. Him and Virgil are the sons of Sparta, half human, half demon/angel, because that's what Sparta was.
Yep.
Awake on the plane, Dante meets Baines, who remains confident that God has bigger plans. I think I know we said this a couple of times, but Baines is the biggest villain of this show, man. I know it's a Castlevania thing for us as well, and how like the church is portrayed, but man, every time he's like, "Yeah, God will sort me out," I'm like, "You're a fucking lunatic."
Every single show that I see, and I see a priest or a person from the church, I think straight away, you're the fucking bad guy, ain't you? Because of Castlevania, because of that sort of show, but where it's just the Christian church, for God's sake. So.
And I understand if you're a Christian, you may not particularly like that, but you've also got to understand that over centuries of stories and tales and reality and stuff like that suggest otherwise. Plus, also, this is one of those moments where I'm going to speak truth. Which is all religion is nonsense. So there's that. That's my view. So yeah, I can look at this with a bit of lunatic aspect, Agni and Rudra, the demon brothers, are in control, playing a DVD for Dante, a recording of the White Rabbit who plans to test Dante, forcing him to save everyone on the plane. Dante still refuses to believe that he is demon blood and that he is the son of Sparta. And basically, the rabbit reveal, look, he wants Dante to activate his devil trigger and save them all. And he kind of realizes, okay, this is the key. This is the third thing that must involve breaking down the barriers. Whatever Dante's devil trigger is, the White Rabbit needs it.
Yeah.
The plane stuff is kind of okay. I find that it kind of drags on a bit. And you kind of see the dragging our heels a bit because it's the other stuff that we're going to get to now with Darkcom that's actually the good stuff for this episode and the following episode.
Yeah, the whole pain scene for me was more like a story filling a bit, like filling in a bit of the story parts. Yeah,
Yeah, because even the White Rabbit is basically just telling us things directly from like he's talking to Dante, but he's talking to us really.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Dark Karma followed the tracker to the White Rabbit's location at an abandoned apartment complex. Interesting. Immediately, it's a trap. I was so angry. I know the whole point with Darkcom is that they're overconfident and that they're not actually used to dealing with demons of this higher level because
yeah,
normally these kind of demons can't get through the barrier. Now we're going to see how and why they've been able to, but I was still a bit like, you guys are idiots.
yep. I mean, they really thought that they were just going to roll in there and kill the white rabbits. It's like, come on, guys, seriously, come on.
Inside, the rabbit speaks through an intercom, encouraging the people inside to attack the agents and basically says, do not assist them in any way or you will be punished. So it seems that everybody in there is under control or hostage to the White Rabbit. We'll get into that a
Yeah,
little bit more as to an explanation, but for now, that's what we get. Sentry is the first to be killed as Cavalier and Echidna appear and basically slaughter everyone else. This is not pretty and proof that Darkcom is totally outmatched when it comes down to it. It actually proves there was never any competition here, and it's laughable how outmatched they are. There is an attempt to kind of create some emotion here between certain Darkcom agents here. However, I didn't really feel it purely because we didn't get enough time to really explore this. I think had this scene happened, maybe in season 2, after a
yeah,
season of them being around, unfortunately, it's happening 4 episodes in where there's been too many. I struggle with their names. Like
yeah,
one of them who's a couple that only got introduced last episode, and you're like,
yeah,
I'm not really buying it. Basically, it's brutal, and I was
yeah.
like, God, that's rough, but I wasn't really feeling the emotion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Now, I was looking at obviously that team, and 2 or 3 of them you could consider like the main people on that team. And I was surprised that they all virtually got killed. But then
Yeah,
I wasn't so surprised because we're 4 episodes in. We've only seen them for like maybe an episode and a half. They're not really that important. So the main person who we expected to survive survived. So
the reality of it is it's Mary's story, and
yeah,
that names or not, the Darkcom agents, they are goons, named goons, and they were here
yeah,
for, and their deaths are important for the next stage of things because Mary is the only survivor, but the shit traumatizes her. And I
mm,
thought that was fascinating as well, is that again, she's not experienced loved ones like this, or at least since she was a child, being murdered like this in by really powerful demons. She manages to escape but is gassed, and then she kind of has these trippy and nightmarish visions along the way. She's trying to avoid and
yeah.
hide from the demons.
So again, it's me with my stupid uh, examples, but I got the whole Richter and Orax sort of emotional damage sort of thing. You know,
Yeah.
she said that she's been put through that, and all the memories of her past is come flooding back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, here's the mad thing, right? At the end of the show, our 3 major players are all just going to be victims in their own way.
Yeah,
And it all stems from their fucking childhood. Now you can say, okay, oh, isn't that late? But no, like for me, I'm fine with it because ultimately, trauma, a large part of people's trauma does sometimes relate to their childhood.
yeah,
But each individual's trauma also comes from a specific set of people. That basically it's hard to explain until we get to the episode that kind of reveals a major part of it. But there
yeah,
is no black and white in this show. Good and evil is fucking subjective,
yeah,
and it can be changed on a whim, which is really what I loved about this show, and what I really am enjoying seeing right now. I didn't quite, even at this point, I didn't really know what they were doing, but I loved the fear. I felt scared along with Mary. She's
yeah,
being hunted by these demons. She's in a bad place.
yeah. It's also the fact that she's facing demons that she's never faced before,
Yeah,
and
they're
these
really
are
fucking
powerful.
powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. Back on the plane, Agni and Rudyard go Dante into breaking free by basically bringing up the death of his brother and mother, who was attacked by demons when they were younger. And that's kind of where we are at the plane. We jump back and forth. whereas Mary is freaking out, seeing visions of her team, monsters, and her father. Great animation, great visuals here. Very trippy, very scary.
Yeah.
Reminded me, some of the imagery reminded me of like 90s Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Cavalier finds her and attacks, and its realness helps bring her back to focus. And she is able to evade it when she is helped by a family living in the building. She begs them for help, they let her in. And this is where the show just, well, this is where I think this is where it flips into,
Yes.
oh, they're also trying to say something here. So, Cavalier comes in, he kind of threatens the family and then leaves. And throughout that, she's hiding and she realizes they're demons. She's been helped by a family of demons. So once Cavalier leaves, she turns their gun on them because she hates demons. But it just
Yep.
helped her. This is a fascinating. And the cut is brilliant because she's pointing her gun at them and then we cut back to Dante. And you could be like, oh, no, man. But like, no, I think like we need a moment to kind of take in what she's going to do here, right? For
Yep.
her, it's been so black and white. But this family of demons just helped her. How the fuck what do you do with her? Like, and her head's already messed up.
It's been brainwashed into her that demons are evil. Demons are to
Yeah,
be killed.
but from her own childhood trauma. So like you can understand it, you know?
Yep.
On the plane, Dante is struggling in the fight, but the constant teasing by the demons causes him to remember his traumatic childhood, activating his demon abilities and killing Agni. And he acknowledges that he is the son of Sparta, and just like his father, he kills demons. Is it a little too straightforward? Maybe, but truth be told, I'm not sure how else we could get here. We have to
Yeah.
get here, right? The family Mary has at gunpoint beg her to leave them be, revealing that they fled hell among other demon refugees with the rabbit's help. And the rabbit has been using them. So they kind of explain that hell became unlivable. The real powerful demons made it a worse place to live. And even if you're just a lowly demon, just trying to get on with life, basically just trying to exist. And yeah, it's a ham-fisted class system message they're trying to tell here. No different to humanity. Those on the bottom, compared to those on the top. I was just like, this is cool. This is not
Yep.
what I expected. And I'm enjoying this. I really, really am. And that when the rabbit came along and offered them a route out of hell, where their children, because basically their children can't survive in the toxic world of hell as it is now,
Yep.
the rabbit offered them a way out. They took it. However, on Earth, they've had no choice. They've arrived on Earth to find a better life, right? But they can't because people hate them. So they've had no choice but to hide. And with that, had to put up with the white rabbit who's been using them in experimental ways. And
Yep.
listen, what is this if not literally direct translation to how immigrants are treated and stuff like that? Like, I get it. You can say, oh, it's a bit on the nose, but I, I like it. And I know it's not for everyone, but I really like the story. I like the idea.
Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic story, right? I 100% enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just like this is such a cool analogy, a way to compare it to real life and make it feel more watchable and like able to connect to it because it is paralleled with real life. Even
Mm.
Castlevania paralleled it with real life when it comes to trauma and
Yep.
stuff like that, man. This makes Mary reconsider her black and white stance on demons, and she decides to spare the family, leaving and promising, look, I'll protect the families inside. Um, and it's like, okay, cool. That's a great way to go. But back in the plane, an enraged Roger, who is heartbroken to see his brother die, I felt bad for him. Basically goes, fuck it, and blows up the plane. And that's how the episode ends, him blowing up the plane. You're like, oh, okay. All right, guess we'll see what happens in the next episode then. Yeah, great episode. All because of the
Yep.
apartment stuff. I'm glad we get to Dante's Devil Trigger and accepting who he is because now we can kind of move that on well. But the apartment stuff, the murderer, the death of Dark the Mary, the black and white stuff regarding demons. Yeah, I was transfixed.
Yeah. At this point, I was more intrigued on what was going on Mary's side than Dante's side.
Yeah, Yes, agreed. I absolutely agree with that. And thankfully they're going to come together, and Dante's stuff's about to get really good as well. But and the
Yep.
White Rabbit too. But yeah, man, I loved it. I like that's the reality of it, right? The time
Yep.
flies by. I'm just thoroughly enjoying it. And you know what, man? Like I've read threads on Reddit and I've criticisms on it and why people don't like it and stuff like that. And a lot of it always comes down to the same thing. It's not my Devil May Cry. It's not this.
Yep.
It's not this. They've done this. They've done that, and so on and stuff like that. And I don't have a problem with that. But I just come back to the same thing that I say regarding all of this. This doesn't replace your Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
But as someone that doesn't really play Devil May Cry, hasn't really lived in the world, and certainly doesn't really care what they do with it, I'm entertained by the
Yeah.
show.
I mean, I know everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it does annoy me a lot of the criticisms the shows get. It's like I would rather have the show and not have it. All this criticism, we might never get a Nocturne season 3 because it gets criticism, too many criticisms.
Yep.
We've lost Halo. But regardless of whether you liked it or you didn't,
Yep.
I'm hearing rumours about The Last of Us season 3 is under severe scrutiny. So
Well, obviously, about that, obviously,
yeah.
we should say Druckerman has now left the project and stuff like that. A lot of people seem to think that that's a positive thing. I think a lot of people are saying that because of mean reasons, not very nice reasons, and that worries me.
Yeah.
We don't want to get into a Last of Us chat here. Maybe we'll do a video in the future where we just discuss what we think the future of The Last of Us might look like. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Here's the thing, right? I still don't think it matters what anybody says. Ultimately, it's all about numbers, and that's all that streaming services and shit care about.
Yep.
Netflix wants money. Everyone wants money. Not just a bit of the money, though, folks. Remember, they want all the money all the time. And if say, season 2 of Nocturne, for example, was not quite as successful as season 1, that's not all the money all the time. So that's where we run into issues. Devil May Cry is going to get a second season. We already know it will. But that doesn't mean it's guaranteed to season 3 and so on. And it shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong, it shouldn't be. Nothing is cancelable. But my God, listen to people bitch and moan about something. You summed it up perfectly. I'd rather exist than not. Because why not? Why can't it exist? You're like, oh, well, no, but I just want it to be better. And it's like, yeah, but the reality of it is if this is what we get and you don't like it, so be it. Plenty of people do. I like it. That's what I'm saying. I fucking like it.
I mean, I'll give you a perfect example for me. It's like the Rings of Power. I don't particularly enjoy it as much as I should do because as a massive Lord of the Rings fan, but I'll still watch this and I'll still enjoy the pleasure, the fact that I'm getting more Lord of the Rings.
But it's also okay for you don't. So that's interesting. Is I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fans, right? I thought Rings of Power season 1 was okay. I really liked season 2. Really did. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all like different kind of thing. I'm just trying to think of a show that everybody liked that maybe I didn't really like. I'm trying to think of one. Like, oh man, it's really difficult. There's got to be a show out there that like that. Well, I'm on the opposite side. Maybe I'm just too agreeable. I like a lot of things.
Squid Game?
Huh?
Squid Game?
I've never watched Squid Game.
Oh,
Looks
okay.
boring to me.
I love it. Obviously, I've been to watch season 3 already. So
all I see is people criticizing that. So like, I don't, but anyway, we've got off topic. What we wanted to say, what we're always trying to say when we talk like this is like, if you don't like it, that's cool, absolutely, and your criticism is valid, provided you're coming from a constructive, fair place. And I'm certainly not telling you what to like and not to like, but stop telling us to not like it, because I fucking like it and I want it to exist. It doesn't replace your Devil May Cry. All the games still exist. We could be angry at Capcom for not making anything new or doing anything new in a long time. And maybe that's the problem more than anything else. But hey, maybe if this show is successful, it makes Capcom go, shit, people are into this. Let's make a new game. Right?
Exactly.
Anyway, episode 4, All Hope Abandoned. You got any thoughts that you want to share with us? We want to hear it. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.